Hey, how's it going? Sorry, didn't mean to knock that around that way. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different, and I'm gonna talk about breaking it off with my sweetie. Because, well, first, look at my signs. I don't know if I'm going to talk about some sort of media programming or not, but I might, so take it all in. All right. And the reason why I'm doing it is to illustrate a couple of points. Definitely not to talk crap about this person or anything, like, at all. It's not. Okay, look. This person is famous, and many people will know who they are, who he is. I want to be clear on the gender and say he. So they're handsome, they're very successful, and it was great to like be in contact with this person. So the way that I met them was that I reached out to them to see if I could do some work on one of their projects, or any project really of theirs, and they had something in mind for something, one of their projects that I really didn't want to do. Like, it was specifically what I said I did not want to be doing, and that's what it ended up they had me doing. But then it turned into something else, and they took a liking to me, right? And then it turned into more and more and more, and I'm like, okay, cool. So a lot of things were said, a lot of plans were talked about, a lot of promises were made, I guess you could say, a lot of statements were made, and throughout the whole time, I have had doubts. And I have brought those doubts to this person's attention many times. And they said things, but they didn't actually follow through on them. Like, how I felt was a priority of theirs, or like seeing to my needs and bringing us together was a priority of theirs. But here's the thing, and I know because I've talked to a couple of people about this without bringing up this person's name, because they asked me not to, so I haven't. Well, actually, that's not true. The person that I'm going to talk about, I did not mention who this person is. And a couple of them, and everyone I talked to was like, scam, 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 they're scammer, watch out, you're a scammer. Which, first of all, obviously that's what well, maybe not obviously, because people think I'm just stupid enough to just fall for a scammer. Well, put a pin in that. But I'm actually super paranoid about it. Like, I don't trust anybody online because of that. But I have not been scammed. There have been attempts to scam me. Scammers have contacted me. And it was like the same kind of situation where I just went along with it because it was like a nice looking dude talking to me every day, which wasn't happening in reality. And it was like, when it's not happening in reality, I don't know about you, but I was like missing that. And let me just stipulate here, my whole adult life has gone by and I've had one relationship, okay? So I feel like I need more, and that one was not optimal. I mean, like, almost immediately I saw that, well, this ain't gonna work. And that person, well, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but let's just say that they had no clue what was going on with me, and they weren't interested, so that didn't work for me. And I ended that. This time, it's like this person made a claim that something happened with them in a previous relationship, and it made such a mess that their management was like restricting their ability to interact with people. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, I can't, like, they wouldn't ever like video chat me or phone call. It was just text. And I was like, that's not right. Something's wrong with that, because I know a lot of people who are now famous that have management, and they all do whatever the fuck they want. I mean, I know there are some restrictions, but it's like, don't you know someone who has a phone that they're not monitoring? I mean, what is it, the CIA? Are they monitoring everyone you potentially know? Like, you can say, hey, let me grab your phone for a second so I can call up my girl and let her hear my voice. And I suggested that, and that's not the only way they could have done it, because if the person is not going to talk to you, they expected me to take it seriously, like all of it. And it's like I went along with it for 2 years, and there was always red flags, though. There was always something, every minute there was something. Like, good things would be part of it and bad things. And it wasn't a scam. I mean, this person was giving me money occasionally. They weren't like trying to get money off of me, although the couple of times I did things for their operations, I'll call them, that screwed up, and I got hammered and like financially hurt, and I don't have money. I'm on Social Security that I started getting when I was 26. I didn't work and get 401ks and retirements. Like, this was a point of contention for me, because I was like, why are you asking me for money? You are rich. They got screwed up when I got screwed up because it was their business venture. I'm just trying to vaguely characterize it. It's not shady. It's actually a charity that his family runs, and people that have worked for him there have been dishonest and stolen from a charity for children that have like really like terrible chronic diseases. They are just homebound and bedbound, and the charity helps pay for their medical bills, or well, yeah, it helps them pay for their medical bills and buys things like games, video games, and finances trips and stuff like that. It's like Make-A-Wish, but it's not Make-A-Wish. So people take advantage of him in that, and then people are scammers, people are criminals. So because of that stuff, and because they're famous, I think that there's a level of paranoia that is understandable. But probably like 3 months ago we were talking, and I had done some of the business before he could get back to me, because I knew that there was a time consideration involved. So I just like started, and when he could finally come back and start dealing with it, the first thing he said was, I can trust you. And it wasn't a text, but I got the whole sense of like, I can trust you. Like, you couldn't believe it. It's like, it's been over a year of working together and talking with you, and which was one of the good things about not actually getting to meet this person in person or speak to them and hear their voice. It was almost like being pen pals, and it was forcing us to get to know each other slowly. But it just didn't ever seem like there was an end to that in sight. Like, I would just get told over and over, well, this has got to happen first, and this has got to happen first. So then I'd be like, but is this happening? So, and I told them, like, the last thing I said, I said, look, I've been testing you, and you've been failing. And I told him exactly in what instances I was referring to, but it was also that they were failing when I wasn't testing them, which is why I started testing them, because I was already suspicious. And so it's just been like 2 years of insane ups and downs, because they could say things that could make me feel really good and do really nice things, like just get me some money and go buy something nice for yourself, or some thing I had screwing up one time where I needed money for like a part, and he just sent it. He didn't even say he was going to do it. So this is, and I didn't meet this person online either, by the way. Like, people just think because I say we're talking online that I met them online, and it's a scam, and it's like, it may be part scam, although I don't understand why that would be, but there was so many inconsistencies that I just began to start like testing, like, and then I didn't even notice that, which most people that are kind of on it would get the tone of my questioning, considering I wasn't trying to hide it. I really wasn't. But one of the things I was supposedly waiting for us to have the big meeting was a home to be built. So in the year since they told me about this, like, that was the obstacle. Where I live, I've seen 2 college dormitories the size of city blocks go up. I've seen 2 hotels go up. I've seen apartment buildings go up. I've seen houses go up. And this miracle or mythic place, just, the last I heard of it, that he volunteered, was that, well, actually, he didn't volunteer him. I had to ask. In fact, someone advised me, because I was suspicious. They were like, well, ask them to show you progress. So I said, well, can I see how it's going? And they sent me a blueprint, like a template. And I looked at it and I was like, this is so freaking generic. It's unbelievable. I mean, it had the things in it that he said were supposed to be there, but I just wasn't believing it. So after we talked, I signed off and just searched. The first dang thing I searched, I found the exact template. So I was like, well, can I believe this guy or not, right? I felt like no. But, like I said, lonely. I'm older. It feels nice when a man is contacting you and talking to you, and it's a nice looking guy, a successful guy, and you just want to believe like an idiot, like, oh, this could maybe happen, but not really, because I never really believed it. So yeah, 2 years of just getting unsatisfactory answers, and I just can't get over the suspicion. Regardless of how good that person may have made me feel from time to time, it just they never followed through or came through on all of the stuff that they were saying and volunteering. And if you love somebody so much to the degree that they were saying, you think that they could take a plane, which they could afford. I can't afford to go to them. If I go someplace else, I have to pick up with all of my stuff and go. And you understand what a big undertaking that is? Like, try to move these days. I'm poor. If I didn't have Social Security and the benefits that give me affordable housing and medical care, I would have nothing. So, yeah, I mean, that's the difference between the two of us. Their career could end now, but they're still multi-millionaire, and that was like hard. Like, but I understand they don't want to be taken, but I was not asking this person for anything. Remember, it started out with me asking for a job. That's not like me going, pay for my nails, which obviously you can see I just have nothing. I don't go to a salon. Pay for my hair. Nope. You can see. Pay for my kids' tuition. Don't have a kid. Not their kid. Like, I'm not a gold digger, I guess is what I'm saying. And so it was important to me for them to know that, but it just, like, lots of promises were made, like none of them have come true. And then probably about a month ago, I started hearing and seeing in my mind the name Kelly, Kelli, so a girl's name, in connection with them. And it's like that, and it always felt like one time I went to send them a message and it was a sound recording of my voice, and they just like clicked it off as soon as I sent it. And I was like, what the fuck? And they didn't answer me when I asked about it. They're like, I'm busy, I'm working, I can't talk now. And then I just let it go. But then they never came back to it. And I always felt like there was someone there that he did not want to hear a woman's voice talking to him on the phone. And I always felt like that. I always felt like there was someone he was hiding us from. Like he was calling it a relationship. I wouldn't. It lacked several of the components that for me comprise a relationship, like actually meeting each other and, you know, breathing the same air and being able to touch each other. Like that just, you could talk about it and talk about it, but it would never happen. It's like, boy, dude, talk is cheap. I don't want to hear it. Like, I just never understood why I was always kept at arm's length, and I was always suspicious. So then the name, and it's like, I was just getting so tired of the nothing and the obfuscation and the putting me off and the always an excuse, and it just never made sense. We're not even really 2 states away. If you go diagonal, if you go by the way the crow flies, we're corner to corner. And they're like, I don't like to fly commercial, and the network's not sending me there. And I'm like, well, I guess you don't love me that much. So yesterday I just said, look, I can't do this anymore. Whatever is supposed to be happening, well, here was kind of the breaking point on top of the name. Like I said, I've been testing him. So when he told me about this house, I was like, okay, I'll give him 3 years. But then, like I said, I've been seeing huge buildings just go whoop like nothing. So I don't believe him about how long it's taking. And then he was saying, well, I have to pay, you know, it's a relative's construction company, and they have other stuff, and they're like, do me a favor. And it sounded like he was paying him like, here's some money, and then go do a little bit of stuff this day. And I guess that does happen. And it was just like, it's going so slowly, though. It doesn't make sense. And then I asked him about it, and he was like, well, I have to pay them, like, for the supplies, materials, whatever. And I was like, that is just, every time, that doesn't sound right. Okay, whatever. So then I asked him about water, because I know that in the area where he lives now, there's about to be a drought emergency, and they're wanting to build a big place, and construction uses a lot of water. And I'm like, well, for the amount of people and this space, I don't want to be taking water away from the locals. Like, I don't want it to mess up the surrounding area. Are we going to have a well? Is it going to be city water? Are we going to be near a water supply that we can use, that we can filter? And he didn't know. He didn't know any of it. And he said, oh, I'll ask. And I asked him that on purpose, because I know those are considerations that you have to make before ground is broken. I wanted to determine, like, is the shit even really happening or not? And then he says, when I ask him this, he says, oh, I'll have to bring it up. And I said, you know, that was a wrong answer. Either the ground is broken and it started and those questions are too late to ask, or it hasn't, which means you've been saying it has and it hasn't, which, what does that make that? It makes it untrue. So I don't know why they would be doing this. I know, because I've been able to see them, I have that over them. I've been able to observe them a lot more than they have me. And I know that occasionally they will tell a little bit of, I'll call it a fib, because it's usually the kind of thing a kid does, like just reflexively when they did something wrong. And they kind of know that they're lying. So, that's the kind of dishonest this person is. Like, I don't think that they're mean deliberately, although if my suspicions are true, then they ain't nice. Like, what is going on, and why are you a rich person you are way gainfully employed? Why are you, like, taking advantage of me? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why people are like that anyway, but why drag it out for so long? Why? I don't understand. So, obviously, this makes it very hard to trust people. And obviously, I was already distrustful with reason. And now, I just had to end it. Like, I just couldn't keep doing it to myself, because I allowed it to happen. I was always fully cognizant of that. Like I told him, I'm older, I'm lonely, it's nice to have a handsome guy contacting you every day, but nothing ever came of it. So in that respect, all I can think is scam, 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 and there's other layers to it. But I'm not like, I guess I have kind of said some negative things about him, but I don't feel negatively about this person. Like, I'm just really sorry that it even ever went that way, because I feel like he never meant it, so it was just hurtful. Why even bring it up? I didn't. I was like, oh, okay, sure, great. But it's like, I didn't really believe it, and I was right. So here's the bottom line. Here's why I'm even talking about this with you all. It happened for a reason. And along with this, concurrently, I've been seeing a lot of messages that, they're general messages on YouTube, like readings and things, but when you feel something significant, and it's when you see something and it makes you feel a significant way, to me, that is telling me that I should pay attention to it. So I felt compelled to come on here and talk about this and give you some background. What I feel like it mainly was an instance for me to be learning some things. And the main one is to trust my instincts, which have been really screaming and yelling since the start. And I even told him this, and he just like brushed it off. Like, I gave him every opportunity to redeem himself. I shared my concerns every time. Like, every time I was suspicious, I just told him. And his response would usually be like, I want to know these things. I want to do everything I can to address your concerns. But what that always consisted of was just that, and then nothing would ever happen. Nothing would change. No questions would get answers. His behavior wouldn't change. So I feel like it's all been there to illustrate to me, like, when your senses start going off and telling you, hey, this is wrong, you are correct to listen. It's telling you truth. And so, hopefully, you won't choose, like I did, to waste, I hate to say waste, because this is raw, only hours old, right? And my impulse is to say I wasted 2 years and invested a lot of emotion into this, but I also knew that like something was not right, and I still kept on. So the messages I've been getting is something better is on the way. Like, whatever is going on now, like, don't worry about it. It's messed up. It's over, and it's just to show you that something better is coming along. And I can't even imagine something better. I don't even want to think about trying to get involved with someone else again. I don't know, like right now it just feels too wounded. It's like the last thing I want. But eventually I wouldn't mind, you know. I'm a human. I would like to partner up at some point. I really feel like, boy, I mean, I've experienced every way it cannot go right for decades and decades. I get it. I think I get it. When it goes bad, can it go right? So I pulled some cards just to kind of get like a feel of what was going on with me, because they will reflect what I'm feeling. So the first one I pulled from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck was number 10, Deep Diver, and it's diving into a task. So when I pulled this, what I felt like is what I immediately did after I sent my goodbye text, was that I just needed to basically not feel, be unconscious. But I don't have like drugs or alcohol, which alcohol is like the worst if you're all emotional. It's like a terrible idea. And I don't have drugs to make myself unconscious, like sleep or nodded out or whatever, which, you know, that ain't good either, and that's why I don't have that stuff. So, I mean, all I could do was just like smoke weed, and finally I smoked enough to fall asleep, you know. And then I woke up and I still felt bad, so I was up for a little while and I did the same thing and went back to sleep. And, you know, I had to get up because I have a cat and I had to make sure his needs were taken care of, which I did. And then we went back to sleep for a while. And then I had to get up again to feed him again, so I think I'm all sleeped out. And I have been thinking about it, running things through my mind, as you do. Because I know, like, just deal with it when you can. For me, deal with it as much as I can. And then, like, just get past it and get through it faster, because it's not what I wanted it to be. Well, I didn't even want it to be that in the first place. I just wanted a production job or a job in editing or something, but no. They had me doing this other thing I totally did not want to do. I hated it, by the way. I hated doing it. So anyway, the next card I pulled was Gathering Around, the Power of Community, number 26 card. And what my attention was focused on here was the mushrooms. And gathering around the power of community, well, I don't really have that. I don't even have gathering around online, really. So, one thing in the spirituality world that they will always say, and also religion, is that always spirit is around you, like you're never alone and whatever. But I think we're all pretty well aware that you got to take that on faith. It's not like tangible. It's much like this sort of whatever non-relationship, you know, non-solid, whatever that was that just happened. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't what it was saying, or I don't know. I don't know if I'm even making sense, but I already talked about what that was, so you define it. The mushrooms also just made me think, I don't know if it would be a good idea to trip right now, but I think I would do it just to get my mind in a different place. That would help me perceive the invisible, you know, entourage that I have around me that is making me not be alone. That's so hard to detect. And then the next card I pulled, oddly, was another mushroom card. Number 24 card, Galactic Mushroom, the Divine Matrix. So, honestly, this is what I was trying to get to when I was doing this. I didn't realize this until recently, like after I started talking about it, but part of my grounding that I like to do when I have my feet on the ground outside is to sort of make contact with all the various grids. I did not realize that there was a huge mushroom flap grid right in this state that I moved to. I don't know if I'm near it or not, and I don't know how big is. But you don't have to be right next to it to perceive it, I don't think. If you tune into it, which I'm developing some facility with, tuning into sort of invisible things. That is a way to feel communal. But it's not, I don't know, always that easy to drop into. Although I think it's getting better personally, just because certain things are sharpening up about all of our senses and abilities to sense. And I'm like, you know, I've always wanted to enhance those as much as I possibly could. So anyway, I'm just trailing off, I think. The next card I pulled was number 16, Empty Well, Time to Replenish. Well, boy, don't you feel like that when you break up with someone? It's just like empty. The sad thing is I always felt like sort of empty because nothing was tangible, and it's definitely time to replenish myself inside and out, because this has felt like a hollowing out. Like, I guess I'm one of those people pleasers that give too much, because I always feel like I gave so much, and I know you're not supposed to be all having a string like I gave you this, so give me something back, but in many situations with this person, I took a financial blow on their behalf, and they just were like, not, their deal was like, I'll give it back to you when we're together. And I'm like, oh, when the never thing happens? So a couple of times, doing something for that person, I took a financial hit, and they did not reimburse me. What I got was, we'll discuss it, and at no time did the discussion take place. And it's like, that needed to not be happening. Like, stop hitting the person that's living in poverty, or don't plead poverty to the person that actually is living it. Like, I just never understood that, except for, I know rich people don't like to spend their own money, and I guess that's what that was. I don't know. But that is, it would make me reach way down, trying to like understand, like try to figure out like why that would be, like why they would think that's okay. Why do rich people think that the other people have to pay for everything for them? And then call, I'm not saying he's this last thing, but then call the people that need help and are on services like myself takers. And I gotta say, this dude took a lot from me, you know, maybe not financially, but emotionally, like expecting me to believe all this stuff that just didn't seem real, never came to fruition. And I told them probably 2 days ago, I said, I'm not going to put up with this much longer. Like, I'm not going to do this. And, you know, their deal is like, everything is positive. Okay, I'm glad we cleared the air, except for we didn't clear air. It was me saying stuff. And then they're like, now let's think of something positive, as if, I don't know. I mean, I took it, and this was on me, as I'm always negative because he's always trying to be positive, but I can't help that I see negative stuff, and then I have to say it. And I'm not negative all the time. Like, he knows, you probably know I'm a silly goose, like, and not a negative bitch all the time. You know, it's just like, you can't be one or the other all the time, or I can't. Like, I want to be happy all the time, but it just doesn't work out that way. Like, something always comes along to pop the balloon. And anyway, the last card of the Shaman's Dream ones I pulled was number 31 in the hand. The universe is your partner. So this I just read directly as it's catching me, because I need to be caught right now. I'm kind of definitely in free fall, and drowning keeps coming to mind, but I don't know if that's what I'm actually feeling. But it is a feeling of being unable to catch a good breath. Like, just, I kept trying to get like a grasp on some kind of reality with that situation, and it just kept not happening. And I told him, I was like, you know, I just feel like I'm being elaborately like I'm a big huge sucker. And they're like, no, you're not. And it's just like, saying that doesn't prove it to be the truth. Whoopsie, come back here. So I also pulled some cards from the Lightseers deck, and I don't really understand them, except they were kind of like a history almost of what happened. So we got in touch, then things start happening real fast. It went from me working for them to them not all of a sudden, but over like a few months, like professing love. And I never bought it, because if you talk about it and then don't do anything about it, it doesn't mean anything. That's how I was feeling. That's how I do feel. These were all the promises and the what could be, and the, you know, all of the future things that just never were happening. And, you know, it made me want to believe them. It made me want to nest. You know, and I didn't realize what a powerful feeling that is. This nesting business. And it wasn't that I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a child. Like, it wasn't that type of nesting. But we did talk about that. Not me having a child. I'm too old. And I am missing some of the vital parts for that. But, as you can see, there are kids on here, and this person really wants to be a parent, you know. And my feeling about it is that I and the kids in my family that I grew up with all had sort of, not all of us, but the ones that I was close with had sort of turbulent parents with their relationships, and those do affect you, you know, as you grow up. And so this person grew up in a stable parent-to-parent household, and that was not my experience. So I always felt like I wasn't going to go out of my way to do it just to do it. Like, I didn't want to have, I didn't have that thing where I got to have a child. Like, I was never that kid that was always playing mother to a bunch of dolls. Like, that's just never been me. I never believed that, like, sorry, but life just made me disbelieve that I was going to get married ever. Kind of proved to be true, but maybe I set that in motion. I didn't understand at the time, like, years of saying, I'm this, I'm that, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not that. Like, I didn't understand how that, like, sets it in stone in your life path. But the reason why I said that is because I didn't want to end up the way that I'd seen my mother end up. Doesn't matter, too many people, because of who they married, you know. And it's just like, man, if you can't count on people, why get mixed up in it? So my feeling has always been, if I was going to do it, I wasn't going to do it alone. Like, there better be a father there, and they better be there, unlike mine. So that never happened. Let's remember the sequence. Things started happening really fast. All kinds of promises were made, and sort of like dreams, I guess. I wasn't believing it. I'm thinking about everything real hard. There's too many inconsistencies. I have a perspective that is not matching up with the reality that I was being fed. Right now, how you've been seeing me get all emotional, that's what I feel like this is. And I don't know what to do with it. I feel like since they professed all kinds of love and then never came through and made the effort to talk to me or even let me hear their real voice on a phone call, hard to believe that they loved me that much. It certainly didn't propel them to do anything exceptional about it. So I have all these feelings that are just like, stay here, don't move, because you're the only one that has any use for him. And then both of these are him. It's like professing the love and coming off as this person that in a lot of ways they are this person. I mean, this person, I don't think they have the guile a lot. Like, I grew up in Hollywood, and wow, have I gotten to see some people like mask who they really are and what they're really saying. This guy is not like that. But I think they fall in love fast. I think they fall in love with an idea. They've been married twice already. And I don't want to be that person that's asking, like, about their other relationships, because I don't know. Like, I just have a feeling that that is kind of gross. But I do want to know, like, what was the problem? Was it him? I know the last one ended because the spouse had an affair with someone that worked for him. I think that's messed up. But that's because in many instances I've been cheated on, so I have like a certain point of view. I mean, I could understand why they would have hurt feelings over it, but then, like, so fast their attitude changed toward me, because I told that person, I said, look, I want to be like all up in your business. But I was still talking about getting a job. I don't know what he was hearing. But I want to be like in there. I want to like see how things are done. I want to help. I can see places where I can help, you know. And he wasn't going to let me in on that. And he did say, he misunderstood me. He thought I was like, I don't want to say hitting on him, but I think he thought that I don't know. I guess he thought that I was gonna like be with him when I said that, and how absurd is that? You're famous. I haven't ever met you. I'm never gonna get near you. How could a fan just be all, I'm just gonna move in? So but anyway, he seemed to take it that way, and he said, well, I don't have room in my life right now for a relationship. And I was like, well, okay, I'm looking for a job. This was at the very beginning of this, and then all of a sudden he had all this room to be talking about it. But judging from the fact, I know he's like constantly busy. I know he has multiple projects. I know it's like one guy at the head of all of these things, and he probably really doesn't have time for a relationship. But if you're going to be saying stuff to people, you have to take into consideration how they're going to take it, right? So, like, don't be saying stuff you don't mean. But I think he just got caught up and carried away, but he's also this other person who was like, I'm not gonna help you. Even if I kind of fucked up the thing that you need help with, I'm not gonna help you. You have to get it done yourself. And that's that rich guy thing I was talking about, where they don't want to spend their own money. Like, even if the dude was responsible, kind of didn't want to hear it. And it's just like, wow, you need to be hearing it, because I would have never done it if not for you. In fact, I did it for you, so you need to. But he didn't. He just wasn't going to do it. Except if it was just going to all be taken care of when we lived together. And I was going to have so much money, and more money than I could dream of. And I was like, who's asking for money? I'm not, like I said, I'm not a gold digger. I just want back what you owe me. And he just never got it. So, all of that, I felt like after I had some time to sort of kind of calm down and absorb the situation, it really wasn't that unusual. Like, it was kind of always coming, because like I said, I was always suspicious. I was always like aware of all these inconsistencies, and that is a no-go. I need to know what the frick is happening to the extent I can. And if it's something that you need to be telling me, then you need to be telling me. If I ask, if I bring it up, it's not for nothing. I am certainly silly and frivolous, but when I'm serious, it is serious. Like, don't brush me off. Don't... whatever. But, you know, now I have that I'm never going to do that again feeling, which is terrible, you know? Like, I don't want to lock myself out of happiness if it's going to come, however it's going to come. I don't want to become so bitter and cynical that I block it, but man, people have made it so hard to trust. Hard to trust, because every time it just boils down to that. Or also just people taking advantage of you being nice, you know, not like... The thing about strings, you know, like when someone gives you something, well, I have learned that I often don't want to take whatever it is anymore, even if I really want it. Because there's always a string. There's always some strings. But the thing is, it's right if someone does something for you to reciprocate. It just is. It's wrong to expect it, but it's right for them to do it. Like, you shouldn't have to expect it. They should just know to do it. And in this case, I don't know. Apparently, they've got that gene missing. I don't know if it's fear of like their own trust issues or fear. We all fear getting hurt. I know that this person has had people after them financially because very much like myself, they want to trust people to do what's right. But people don't. People take advantage of nice people. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share. All of it, though, I figured out has been an opportunity to trust my own intuition, which, as I said, from like the very beginning, I was like, something is wrong with this. Something's wrong with the way he's acting. Something's wrong with the way he's treating me. Something's wrong with the way he's saying. Like, there was something wrong mixed in with like laughs and fun and nice things said, beautiful things said, but talk is cheap. Ever hear that one? Thank you and good night.